Good afternoon. Welcome to the September 1st, 2009 meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority. And we have the roll call, please.
Authority members: Draymond.
Here.
Friedman. Mincy.
Here.
Razian.
Here.
Quintero.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Chairman Najarian.
Here, where we have your report.
The agenda for the September 1st, 2009 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Thursday, August 27, 2009 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. The next item?
Next item is approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
If there are no objections or corrections or abstentions, then the minutes will be approved as submitted.
You might want to abstain on one of the items in the menu.
August 25th.
August 25th.
Was this last week's?
Yeah.
Yes, it was. I
Abstention will
will
be noted.
abstain.
And I-
Please note my abstention.
And I'm abstaining on the 18th.
Okay.
Yeah.
With those noted abstentions, the minutes will be approved.
Wait, abstaining on the 25th, too.
18th, then? You weren't here on the 25th either?
Well, it says on here, absent. Or I mean abstain. Oh, there's a difference.
Oh, Mr. Draymond,
There's
were
a
you?
difference.
No, I was absent from the roll call, but present at the meeting, so
Okay.
that is not shown in the minutes here.
It is. Shows you came in late
When? Where?
on that.
I'm looking at them. I don't see it.
Where did I see it? City Manager Starbird and Authority Member Draymond entered the chamber at 2:37 p.m. in the middle.
What?
At the
I'm
bottom
looking
under
at
number
page
5.
4A.
Yeah,
Where is that on?
Right above item
Just-
6.
right above item 6.
Oop, there it is. Okay.
And I'm abstaining from none.
You can't put one by our clerk,
I mean,
let me tell you.
There we go.
You know what I mean.
Okay. Is that clear?
The necessary abstentions will be noted.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And I'll root canal a day, I'll do it to you.
Let's move to the next item.
Next item is oral communication. There are cards submitted. Discussion is limited to items not part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the Housing Authority may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision, and the matter may be referred to staff through the Executive Director for an investigation and a report.
Thank you. I have 2 cards. First is Richard Espiritu, followed by Herbert Milano.
Good afternoon, Mr. Najarian, members of the Housing Authority and staff. I am Richard Espiritu. For the past 7 years, my record to help and improve the lot of the disabled community has been well recorded. Mr. Garcia can tell you the number of public information request acts that I've made prior to raising or speaking on any issues regarding the disabled community. Mr. Weaver, last week you raised the question about the figures that I stated. I want to tell you thank you very much for not believing whatever I said, and I'm sorry I didn't bring written documents to prove it, and I commend you for doing so. Unfortunately, Mrs. Friedman isn't here, but I'd like to thank her for inviting me to attend the coalition for the Green Glendale to make it more accessible and able for the disabled community. And when I leave a packet, my name and address will be on there so she could forward it on to the coalition so that they can contact me so I can help them in making it more accessible. In her packet, I'm also going to leave her the Guide to Disability Rights Laws published by the Department of Justice, because last week Mr. Howard talked about several issues when she asked a question. Unfortunately, Mr. Howard did not talk about Title 24 of the state of California. It was passed in 1968 in the Unruh Civil Rights Act of 1968. What was also very interesting is I received a phone call from a gentleman by the name of Mike Whitaker Wednesday afternoon, the 26th, at approximately 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He informed me that both Mr. Whitaker and Mr. Hickman will be attending the gardens to take a look and see if it can be more accessible. Since Mr. Harward isn't here, I'd like to say I'm looking forward to the city attorney's office in rejecting my claim that I'll be filing against the city today, because according to state law, under the Unruh Act, I have to first apply my claim to the city attorney's office before sending it on to the Attorney General's office of the state of California. Mr. Grayman, I would like to thank you for your comments last week, and I would strongly suggest that you have a strong look at the issue. There was a philosopher in 1850 in France, Michel de Montaigne. I think it might be helpful for your control of anger to take a look at his philosophy, and I thank you very much for your time and consideration today.
Thank you. Next speaker is Herbert Milano.
Good afternoon, Housing Authority Chair Najarian, members of the Housing Authority, city staff. My name is Herbert Milano. This past weekend, I sat with my family looking at reviewing the long history of Ted Kennedy and the decency of the man that was not necessarily viewed in public. But I think that a significant amount of his advocacy stemmed from that inner decency and the regard that he had towards people. Some of the commentators mentioned that he was atoning for many of his errors and his mistakes and his weaknesses, and we all have that. But at the end of the day, his advocacy resulted in a significant amount of improvement in the quality of life of millions of people throughout this country. And to no small degree, I think many of the policies that come from HUD or the policies that come from, like the ADA and issues concerning access to medicine and so forth, all of these social issues that somehow make life better for those individuals who are poor, who have not had a good education, who are at risk, they were aimed for that. Because to a great degree, Mr. Najarian, I think that we are in our station in life to a great degree due to luck. If we had a great education, perhaps we have parents who were able to provide us with, a good upbringing, or parents that were with us, as we falter from, during our adolescence, or luck that we're born in the U.S., or luck that we had opportunities come into our lives. Luck has a tremendous role in our state of life. And I think to that extent, we ought to have a little bit of humility with regard to our sense of moral obligation toward those who do not have the same fate and did not partake in the benefits that we were able to partake here in the U.S. And I think one of those lucks that we have is in living in a country that is generally much more honest, and with a government that is significantly more honest than most governments out there in the world. So I know what it is to be raised in a country that has significant corruption throughout, and it permeates the whole country. And that is why I advocate for things here, because I think that there's an opportunity for us to improve government and to aim locally for the same things that Ted Kennedy was directing his life towards those individuals who have not had the luck necessarily, the good parents, the good colleges, the good schools, and so forth. And I think it is up to us as a society to be able to assist those individuals, because it's the morally right thing to do, but it's also the economically right thing to do. So if we address the issues of youth at risk and families at risk, it reduces significantly the burden that society has to pay later on just on economic terms. More police, more prisons, more issues having to do with how society eventually pays for it. And it is within the policies of the Housing Authority to execute those policies that will allow us to measure how well we do. And that's why I want to encourage the Housing Authority to fund or to request for funding every year for the quality of life indicators, which to a great degree are the social indicators of how it is that the city is doing. As you probably have read, that the city in the last 10 years went from a total budget of under $400 million to now over $800 million. And so I asked myself, how are we better off? How are the individuals and family service better off now with this basically doubling of the budget at $400 million more per year? And at the end of the day, that is what I would like to see this city fund every single year, just like it do in Santa Monica, just like it do in Pasadena. You know, time after time, the city comes and presents the rationale for a particular policy or action, whether it is increasing pay or increasing benefits or whatever you're going to measure, and you say, well, this city does this, therefore we should do this, do likewise. Or this city is successful in doing something, and so should Glendale. Well, here it is. Pasadena funds every single year, and they have a staff that collects, disseminates, and analyzes the quality of life indicators for the city of Pasadena. And I think to a great degree, it shows in many areas. So it is my suggestion, you know, and it is my pleading to you to really think hard about providing the proper funding for the quality of life indicators so that we do get an opportunity to disseminate and encourage the public to partake in the issues that are so dear to all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have no other cards. Does any member of the council wish to address any of the comments made?
Yes.
Mr. Drain.
Briefly, Mr. Chair. You know, very often we sit up here and a speaker will come up, point, particularly in the evening, not so much in the afternoon sessions, and point to an empty chamber and say, no one is here, and it's because the city council or the agency or the housing authority has somehow conspired to keep people out of the chamber. And the reason I mention that is because it's sort of a misdirection of reality. It somehow, I guess, makes it more palatable for people who come, like Mr. Espiritu, who used to come here under the pretext of being a chiropractor, when we used to call him Dr. Espiritu. And the point being that if you point to that, then somehow you're angry that you're being mean. In fact, you're just being truthful. I'm not sure, Mr. Chair, but I do know that if I am not the only one on this dais, I am certainly one of the only ones on this dais that actually has a legal physical disability. I don't view Mr. Espiritu as being my guardian or my spokesperson in terms of disabled issues in the city of Glendale. And the reason I take issue with some of his comments is because invariably he is incorrect in his assertions. And as a person with a disability, and as someone who has been a caretaker for a parent with a disability for many, many years, I think it does a disservice to the public to continually point at the city and say, they're not compliant, they're not compliant, they're not compliant, and to bring forward citations that kind of sound like they have the weight of law behind them, but invariably fall flat. I have a philosopher for you to take a listen to, Mr. Espiritu, in the form of a character named Billy Dawn from the movie and the Broadway play Born Yesterday. She said, if there's a fire and someone calls the engine, who are you double-crossing, the fire? The fact that I think you are not a representative of the disabled, certainly not this disabled person, and the fact that I think you have your facts incorrect doesn't mean I'm angry. It just means that I'm pointing to something other than what you want to hear. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments for addressing the speakers? Let's move on to the next item, please.
On the business agenda at 6A is Acting Director of Community Development and Housing regarding new project sponsors to operate federal economic stimulus, homeless, and homeless prevention programs. At 6A1 is a motion approving Path Achieve Glendale and Housing Rights Center as new project sponsors and authorizing the Executive Director to execute all necessary documents.
Mr. Duran.
Mr. Chairman, Najera, and members of the Housing Authority of the City of Glendale. The Community Development and Housing Department is requesting the Glendale Housing Authority's approval of Path Achieve Glendale as a new project sponsor for the Economic Stimulus Homeless Rapid Rehousing Program and the Housing Rights Center as a new project sponsor for the Economic Stimulus Homeless Prevention Support Services Program. As you'll recall, these two projects are a continuation and the two final pieces of the Economic Stimulus Program that was approved by the Housing Authority on May 12th, which totaled $1.1 million that we received from HUD. The other major component of the Economic Stimulus Homeless Prevention Strategy was a temporary rent and utility subsidy program, which we're just now getting underway. So these are the last two pieces. Also on May 12th, the Housing Authority authorized staff to issue an RFP for the rapid rehousing component and for the supportive services component. So we've done that. We've completed the RFP. We convened a proposal review committee comprised of representatives from the Glendale Homeless Coalition. We only received one proposal for the rapid rehousing program that was submitted by Path Achieve Glendale. And we submitted three proposals for the support services, and of the three, the committee is recommending the Housing Rights Center as having the best proposal and the proposal that best meets the criteria of the RFP. Therefore, we are recommending an allocation of $140,000 to Path Achieve Glendale for the rapid rehousing program and $26,544 to the Housing Rights Center for them to provide the support services to the homeless prevention programs. And if you have any questions about the program or how it's going to work, we do have the executive director of Path Achieve Glendale here, as well as someone from the Housing Rights Center, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I see that she has submitted a card, but let me just ask a couple basic questions. This money is the Recovery Act
Correct.
money that came in.
Correct.
And so for the rapid rehousing, it's $140,000.
Yes.
And what are the other components that are funded again?
The other components are the temporary rent and utility subsidy program. That's the bulk of the funding. That's about $900,000 to provide rent subsidies to approximately 80 families.
How does that work? I mean, how?
These are families that, because of the economy and the loss of jobs, are having a difficult time paying rent or keeping up with their utility payments. They're on the verge of losing their housing. We believe that most of those clients will be captured at our Verdugo Job Center, and so we will be able to subsidize their rents while they are looking for work, and also be able to refer them to other services that they might need, including legal services or tenant-landlord mediation, maybe to renegotiate their existing rents of their apartment units, and that would be the rapid rehousing program. And the budget is
And
based...
that's only for rental units?
Yes, it's only for rental units.
Doesn't help out with any mortgage?
That's correct. It's not for homeowners.
Okay. And the housing, the HRC has, I see, provides some tenant-landlord mediation, and that's only with regard to the issues relating to the scope. I mean, they're not a broader
Right.
tenant-landlord mediation group.
That's correct. With this funding, as they receive referrals from either Path Achieve Glendale or our case manager at the job center, they will be able to prioritize our homeless prevention referrals apart from their regular caseload. So this will allow our population to get intensified, expanded services.
Okay. I think Mr. Mincy had a question.
What is the timing on this? Should we approve it today? When will this take effect on helping these people?
We would have to execute a subrecipient agreement, which will probably take us about 2 weeks to prepare and get signed off. Path Achieve Glendale is an existing service provider, so they have their liability insurance in place, and they're very familiar with following the HUD rules and regulations, so it should be very quick.
Ms. Perazzi.
Is the rapid rehousing the first new to Glendale, or was there another one before by the other name?
The rapid rehousing program, this will be the first time that we implement the rapid rehousing program in Glendale. We had applied for it before under our regular shelter supportive homeless program to HUD, but it hadn't been approved until this time.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from council? I know we have a card. The clerk picked it up by mistake. Natalie? Camuro?
I'm Natalie Camaro, Patha Chief Glendale. I just wanted to be available if you had any questions. This program would be a real seamless fit. We already have a program where we negotiate with landlords to rent apartments in the community, so adding another 5 units would not be that great a challenge for us, and we provide the services to help people in crisis. And the distinction for this program would be that people coming into it are at a little higher level of income. They have maybe better job earning capacity, and so for that reason they're a little different than the typical folks that we see in our program. And so we'll be doing outreach to that effect to make sure we get the right folks in the program. But we're very pleased to be a partner with the city on this and be part of the response to the economic crisis.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I'll move 6A1. Or are you?
There's no further discussion. We'll take roll.
Authority members Draymond,
Yes.
Friedman, Mincy,
Yes.
Grazian,
Yes.
Quintero,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Chairman Najarian.
Yes. Thank you. Next item, please.
Any authority member or staff comments?
Any staff comments? Mr. Durant.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm going to call Sona Moradin up to make an announcement regarding our latest affordable housing project to come online.
Another one?
Good afternoon,
Wow.
Mr.
Guys are
Chairman and
busy.
Housing Authority members. We are busy, actually. I'm here, the purpose of me being here is because we have another project. We're going to market the lottery selection process for Gardens on Garfield, which should be, I believe, the last project maybe for this year. Thomas Saffron and Associate, the developer in partnership with the Housing Authority of the City of Glendale, will be accepting application beginning the 8th of September through Tuesday, September 22nd. The Gardens on Garfield is a 30-unit new development affordable rental housing project consisting of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. To pre-qualify, applicants must meet the income and household composition requirements. Per the approved affirmative fair housing marketing plan, marketing and application distribution for the Gardens on Garfield will be for a 2-week period. Again, beginning September 8th through September 22nd. And applications must be postmarked no later than September 22nd to be accepted as timely. Marketing will be in the form of commercial media, and it will also be in 4 languages, which also include flyers: English, Armenian, Spanish, and Korean. I have provided you all with copies of the flyer. Flyers for the Gardens on Garfield will be mailed to households on the City of Glendale Section 8 waiting list identified as having 2 or more persons in their household. Flyers and application packages will be mailed to Glendale libraries, schools, churches, places of worship, and social service agencies. Applications will also be available on the 8th to be picked up from 3 locations: City of Glendale Community Development and Housing offices at 141 North Glendale Avenue in Glendale. Also, Armenian Relief Society will be distributing applications. They're located at 517 West Glen Oaks Boulevard, and Catholic Charities, which is located at 4322 San Fernando Road. Applications will be on the developers as well as the City of Glendale website. You can download them and print them at www.ci.glendale.ca.us. Also, beginning the 8th, applicants can call 818-685-9934. That's 818-685-9934 to request an application by mail. Due to the high demand for the projects, a lottery drawing will be conducted to determine the priority order in which households may have an opportunity to be offered a unit and reside at the Gardens on Garfield. In addition, staff would also like to give you an update on the previous marketing and application period for 2 of our other projects. UCP, Glendale Housing Corporation project, which was located at 6200 San Fernando. Yesterday was the last day applications were being accepted. And the final day to apply for Glendale City Lights, which is ongoing currently, will be Friday, September 4th. Thank you, and I'm available for any further questions.
Thank you. Questions? Are there any other comments from...
It was just interesting to see this is 100% non-smoking.
Yes.
Can I move there?
You can apply, and if you qualify, you will be entered into the lottery drawing, sir. Thank you.
And you'll write your letter.
Thank you. Mr. Kasakian, do we have any new business?
No.
I have a comment to make.
Yes.
So I won't be attending the September 15th housing meeting. So
Okay, 2 weeks.
vacation.
We'll miss you. There are no other comments? I'll take a motion
I'll
to adjourn.
move, we adjourn.
Second.
The authority's adjourned.